So today we're back in DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to show you some really cool tricks to improve the speed of your workflow. After all, time is money, so the more time you can save on repeated steps that you're always having to do from project to project, the more time you're going to save, and then the more time you have for other projects. Let's get started. Welcome back. This is Fuzzee Tutorials, and I'm Fuzzee D. Okay, so today we're going to be covering what I do for my workflow, stuff that I've developed over the last couple of years to really speed things up. Before I get too far into it, there's one key idea that I want to give full credit to Mr. Alex Tech YouTube channel. That particular idea, which we're going to be talking about for templates, is something that I learned from him, and it's been a game changer for my workflow. Let's get started. If you're anything like me, when you're first starting out with DaVinci, you learn about power bins and you learn some keyboard shortcuts and stuff. And over time, you develop a set of steps that you normally do for your videos. Now, in my case, I do videos for clients as well. So this is really coming clutch for me because it saves me an absolute ton of time right at the beginning of a project. So, and that's this idea of project templates. So this is kind of where we're going to start. And as we're preparing this template, I'm going to show you all the other things that I kind of preload in to assist that fast start workflow. If you're anything like how I used to do things, here is my power bins down here, and I've got all this stuff in them, and it was getting a little unwieldy, and I was about to start doing a little better organizing within the power bins, and then I learned about this new technique, so I never bothered tidying this up any. What I've done now is I've switched to this new system where I've still got stuff in the power bins, just stuff that I use occasionally, so I don't go in there very often anymore. So in your main master bin here, what you're going to do is you're going to create a folder, and you can name it anything you want. So I'm using this one for my tutorial stuff, so that's why I named it that. Then within that, you're going to make some more folders. So to do this, you can hit the master and you can just come in here, you can right click and you can go new bin, and then you can create that bin. And then within that, we're going to make some more folders. But rather than take you through and do this all from scratch, which kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, I'm just going to show you what I've already built with this. So we're just going to get rid of this one. Okay, so if we open up tutorials, you'll see we've got some more here. So we're just going to pop that little list down. So all I've done is gone in and made some more folders. So I've got one for timelines, images, audio, effects, and clips. You don't have to use this combination. This is just what works for me. I've got another client that there's quite a bit of like A-roll and B-roll kind of stuff. So I've got A-roll and B-roll folders instead of just clips. But it's all based on how you do your normal workflow. So if we go into timelines, you'll see I've got several timelines already set up here to cover the different types of videos I do for clients. Well, actually, if it's a client that I do a lot of work for, they've got their own template file. But I've got these different resolutions. So all you do is you go in, you would right click, go into timelines, go create new timeline. First thing I'm going to do is turn off this check mark. I don't want to use the project settings. And then you're going to name this whatever you want. No, actually, this is just for demo, so I'll just leave it named what it is. We'll be deleting it right away. And then you set up your number of video tracks and audio tracks that you want, and go over to format, set up whatever resolution you're going to be using with this, and then you can hit create. So then within this timeline, you can go, and if there's, say, a bumper that you use, like a little piece of intro footage that you always have at the beginning, you could start by having it right here, ready to go. But what I do is I go through and do all my timelines, set them up the way I want, and make sure they're all named correctly and everything. I'm just going to delete this one now. Okay. So you'll see I've got these other folders. I've just got some images I use all the time, and audio files I commonly use on virtually every video, and some of my favorite effects that I use a lot. And then I have these starting clips, different things that I use in most of my tutorial videos. And you can either have a separate folder for your A-roll and B-roll, like I have on one for one client, or you can just dump it all in one folder. The next thing that we're going to do is you're going to name your different video and audio tracks and set them up the way you want them. You'll notice here, I've got these different dialogue tracks and special effects, music, and you'll see, in this case, they're all stereo, but I've got one client that I have to have a mono track. You can get these set up. You can even go over here and you can turn on your mixer, and you can give it some starting mix levels right here, and that'll get saved into that particular timeline. So if you look up here, you can see we're on the ultra wide timeline, and you can drop this down and you can pick a different timeline and set stuff up differently for it. So you'll see on this 1440 one, which is the one I normally use now. I very seldom do ultra wide anymore. So I've got some levels already kind of preset. And then up here, you're going to want to set a few things. So under playback, I go in and I tell it to use optimized media if available. I tell it I prefer proxies. And then I give it what my timeline proxy resolution is going to be. We'll go into render cache and we'll set this to user. And make sure our Fusion memory cache is turned on. That's kind of important for certain effects to run right, especially on really large projects. Now, I do a lot of videos that are over an hour in length, so I really have to be careful on how I put stuff together. So I have to, a lot of times I have to render in place on certain tracks so that it'll actually render when I go to do the final render on the project. So this is all stuff that I go and I set all this up ahead of time. Now we're also going to go in and we're going to go into our project settings, and we're going to scroll down here, see where it says optimize media and render cache. So normally when you first come in here, this is how it defaults. It's got these two turned off, but you want to turn these on. Anyway, I'll just cancel. Actually, I forgot there's one other setting in here you need to do. Go into Fairlight. So if you're doing YouTube videos specifically, you want to set your target loudness to -14 LUFS. Don't ask me what a LUF is. I have no idea. I don't know what it stands for, but that's key for setting your audio levels. YouTube wants you to be using that -14 LUFS. And if you go above that, then they'll compress your audio for you, and you don't want that. So that's why we set that here. And then you may want to go into Fusion, and if you do a lot of stuff in Fusion, you may want to go in and set up some defaults. In my particular case, I like to go in and I'll set up some options here. So I like to use orthogonal pipes rather than direct pipes. So orthogonal pipes gives you square corners rather than straight line from A to B. I usually set it to build flow horizontally, just the way I work, what I'm used to. And then under our range tools, I usually go to grid, and then auto arrange is turned on. Just keep stuff neat and tidy when I'm developing stuff. Once you've got that set up, if you're doing any color correction stuff and you've got a few things that you always do the same in every one, you could set that up here and it'll get saved in your timeline. We're going to go into Fairlight. Under dynamics, I've already got this pre-set up, and I've even saved a default so that if I don't have this set up, I can just pop down this list and use some defaults that I've saved. So I've got the settings set up just the way I like it. Once I've got that set up for this timeline, then I'll go and set up my EQ. Now, the reasons why this is laid out the way it is too much to go into for this tutorial. I will be doing a tutorial a little down the road, maybe in a month or two, where I'm going to cover a lot more about audio editing and how to set up your equalizer to give you the best sound. Once you've got that set up, you can do any other things on here you need to do. Say, for instance, you've always got audio with a bunch of background noise on one of your audio tracks. So you might want to go in and set up an automatic noise reduction. So I might come in here for this track and go down to restoration, VST, clarity. Now this is what I prefer to use for taking out background noise, like wind noise and engine noise and talking in the background, that kind of thing. This is just the cheap $30 version, $30 US I think is what I paid for this, but it works really good. Not overly configurable, but it's really simple to use and works extremely well. Now I know that in DaVinci 18 they've come out with their own background noise reduction. It doesn't work as good as this, and it's not as tunable. So I've stuck with this. I tried the other one when it first came out. I'll try it again when they've had a little time to refine it a bit more and see what I can do with it, just so I know how to use it. But I much prefer this one. If you're interested in this, I've actually got a link below in the description, and it is an affiliate link, so I get a little bit of kickback, but you pay the same price as you would any other way. They've actually got a trial on it, so you don't have to buy it outright. You can try it for a week first, and then if you like it, you can buy it. Okay, so once you've got this set up the way you like it, you could go to your deliver tab and you could do the same here, but I've already got some presets that I tend to use for stuff that are set up here, so I didn't bother doing that in here. And then you can set this up for each timeline. So we'll go back to our edit page. So once you've gone through and kind of put in all the stuff you want for your starting point of how you're going to do stuff, then you're going to save it. And you're going to do this for each timeline that you're using. Once you've done that, so we're going to go up here to File, and I'm going to go Export Project. Now you can see I've been doing a few of these before. And you can name it whatever you want. Save it in a location. It's going to give you the .drp file. And so we'll just cancel this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start a new project, and I'm going to show you how to actually use this to start a new project. It can be a little bit tricky in one respect. When they first rolled this out, it was really difficult to actually use this effectively if you had a folder structure within your projects. When it first came out, it was kind of really difficult, and then they fixed it a couple of times, changed things. So this is now the way it's working now as of the latest update, which for me is 18.1.2, I believe. So we're going to go over here and load a different project. So you'll see I've got all these folders here. So, I mean, we're already in a folder structure, but I'll just show you real quick. If we go to projects, you'll see I use a lot of folders in here. So this is where we're at here right now. So let's say we're going to start a new project using a template. So what you do is you right click here and you go import project. So then let's say I'm going to do one for my client loves loud cars. Okay, so now it created a project called Loves Loud Cars. Now that's obviously not what we want the project to be named. It just took the name from the name of the template. So we'll just right click this again and we'll go rename project, whatever. And once it's changed the name, then you can just double click and in you go. Now you'll see I've got basically the same thing here. It's just structured a little differently for this client. So you'll see it's totally different types of clips and effects. You know, some of the audio stuff is the same, some of it isn't. So now you've got everything already laid out. If we go and we look in playback, render cache is set where we wanted it. So we can see all that stuff is set up, and if we go look in Fairlight, you'll see we've already got dynamics set up. Settings are a little different for him, and you notice I don't use any EQ on here because it's the audio quality coming from his videos is such that there's really no benefit to doing this. My situation is a little different because I use a lavalier mic, so I have to do a few things to give this nice crispy sound to the audio. That will all change when I get a better microphone, but for now this is how I have to do it. You'll see that if you've got a lot of this stuff that you normally have to set up before you start any project, you can see how much time this saves you. In this little journey, I've also showed you some other things that I do to save time within how I've structured everything. So this was just a quick video today. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some benefit from it. If you like this video, please make sure to smash that like button. And if you want to see more videos from us, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. So thanks for hanging out with us today. We appreciate having you here, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.